So, today we're gonna talk again about a story of philosophy, which basically is just because, you can't see the cover, because it is the second episode featuring this book summary. The link to the book summary per se is down in the description, so if you wanna check it out, please check it out. But, it is basically just, for kind of an introduction to the whole thing. It basically is like history of philosophy. At least they said it. I don't really know. Up to this point, it is more or less just a bunch of different thoughts from the book. I feel like, of course, I have seen some, as you can also see there, so some dates there, so some historical things. But I think it is pretty amazing. I think it is pretty cool and interesting. And we're just, gonna go through as always. Because this is what we do. The next thing is already going to be just so amazing if you really think about it. So I'm going to start reading. Where there is no strife, there is decay. The mixture which is not shaken decomposes. I mean, if you just think about cooking, then yes, to some degree, if you're having some oil-based thing and some watery-based thing, it's not really gonna unless you're really kind of shaking it and doing this kind of stuff. But indeed, if you don't shake it, it is gonna decompose. And then I thought, well, how could I apply this? What does this mean? And I think you can just really easily apply this to relationships. If you're having a relationship with somebody and there's no shakes, there's no contrast maybe, then you're gonna decompose. Everyone's gonna take his or her way, and you're gonna just drift apart after some time. So I totally believe that this is a really amazing one. And you can probably also just translate that into various other areas of your life and life in general. Spencer's generalization that individuation varies inversely as genesis, that is, that the more highly developed and specialized a species or an individual happens to be, the smaller will be the number of its offspring. Well, I don't know. I mean, Elon Musk is just having quite a lot of kids. Gotta have to say that. But I just wanted to say that you might be able to see some correlation there with people that are quite poor, that they quite often, at least as I'm thinking about it, they often seem to have quite a lot of kids because of whatever reason. I actually don't know. So maybe there is a correlation. Maybe there is some kind of quote unquote meaning behind that or some reality behind that. But yeah. We can choose what we shall be by choosing now the environment that shall mold us. So we are free in the sense that we mold our own characters by our choice of friends, books, occupations, and amusements. And this is definitely the case. I mean, you can put a lot of dumb shit into your brain, and you can surround yourself with a lot of dumb people, and also a lot of negative people, and also just a lot of bad people that are influencing you in a very bad way. We all can do that. And we all can choose to do that and to also, on the other hand, not do that. So I totally believe in that. And so shout out to my friends. They are fucking amazing people. It is insane. They're so fucking amazing. They really are. And I'm so grateful and so happy that I've met these people. It is literally insane how of an important part they are in my life. Even though, like, it's not the case that I'm just always seeing them every single day. No, it's not the case. But still, I know that I can hit them up. I know that I can talk to them, and I know that I don't know. I just totally appreciate that. And someday these motherfuckers are gonna see one of these videos where I actually talk about that, and I do hope that they are gonna be happy about that. For we choose happiness for itself and never with a view to anything further, whereas we choose honor, pleasure, intellect, because we believe that through them we shall be happy. We shall be made happy. Now the peculiar excellence of man is his power of thought. Sorry, by the way. It is by this that he surpasses and rules all other forms of life, and as the growth of this faculty has given him his supremacy, so we may presume its development will give him fulfillment and happiness. So I mean, like, I just notice a bit of purpose there, searching for purpose, which is an incredibly important thing, and just searching for something that fulfills somebody in an intellectual way, I think. Virtue, or rather excellence, 48 will depend on clear judgment. Why 48? But yeah, self-control, symmetry of desire, artistry or means. It is not the possession of the simple man, nor the gift of innocent intent, but the achievement of experience in a fully developed man. Yes, I would say so. And I mean, like, if you've experienced a lot in your life, up to you actually being quite an old man or old woman. I do hate that so much, that they're always just going for men and never ever going for women. Then I totally believe that you are fulfilled. If you've been doing quite a lot of things, if you've been trying out quite a lot of things, then I totally believe that you're going to be happier than somebody that, that is now, as he or she's old, trying to just do all those things that he or she wasn't able to do in his or her life, which is fucked up. This is also one of the reasons why I think that we all should be trying out quite a lot of things. We all should also travel. We all should just try to get a piece of quite everything, because I don't know, I believe it is something that's just incredibly important. I really believe that, because I don't know, like, there's so many different interesting things to see in this world, travel-wise, but also at this point of time, I'm thinking about either I'm gonna work or I'm gonna study something. But at this point of time, I feel like, studying is a little bit more sensical, because not because I want to just be good at something or because I want to have this title or just whatever, but I just want to have the experience of studying something. This is quite it, And afterwards, I'm just going to work my whole life long. And of course, besides studying, I just also want to work. So to incorporate that as well. So I do just really hope that I'm going to be able in my life to really amass and collect quite a lot of experiences and quite a lot of thoughts and different opinions and just also people in that case as well. Yet there is a road to it, a guide to excellence, which may save many detours and delays. It is the middle way, the golden, which means, I think, balance, not taking one extreme of one or just taking one extreme and the other extreme, but just being in the middle of it and working with that, I guess. The good of man is a working, what? On some days I really can't read, The good of man is a working of the soul in the way of excellence in a complete life. For as it is not one swallow, one fine day that makes a spring, so it is not one day or a short time that makes a man blessed and happy. Yes, I think it's an accumulation of different things, or a combination of different things. If you have been able to just have great people around you for many years, if you have been able to just work on something you're passionate about for many years, and all sorts of things, then I don't know, like, there's just not a lot of ways you can be unhappy, to be honest. If everything, you know what I mean. As Socrates phrased the coarse Epicurean idea, we scratch that we may itch and itch that we may scratch. I do kind of understand where he's just going to, but I can't give an example, which is, a little bit fucked up. Anyway, he's open in his dislikes and preferences. He talks and acts frankly because of his contempt for man and things. He is his own best friend and takes delight in privacy, whereas the man of no virtue or ability is his own worst enemy and is afraid of solitude. And I think, just being your own best friend, like, I just do not want to particularly suggest that, be your own best friend. Like, you need other people in your life as well, but I understand where this is heading. If you hate yourself just from the bottom of your heart and just really hard, then you're not going to have the best life, It's going to be pretty shit. So also think about that. If what you have seems insufficient to you, said the Roman Stoic Seneca, D point or D period 65 AD or 65 AD, then though you possess the world, you will yet be miserable. Yes, indeed, this is totally the case. If you just yourself feel that you are in need of something, that you should have something, that you miss something, then you're gonna miss something. It doesn't really matter how much you actually have, but if you believe that you miss something, then you miss something. It's the exact same thing as if somebody says something to you and you feel hurt, you feel hurt. But if you just don't think you feel hurt, because there's always, which is a pretty interesting idea, and it takes a little bit of time, at least at my point of view, to just not understand it, but to maybe also accept it. If something happens, it's not like something happens and then there is going to be your reaction. It's not the case. Something happens, then you can make a decision and then your reaction is going to come. Which means that if somebody says something mean to you, then you can be like, well, it's just, I don't care about it. You can make the decision that this is not something that you care about and then give him or her the response. And it is actually the exact same thing. It actually provides us with a lot of control of our life, which I just in general pretty much appreciate, because I think it is cool. I mean, to just be in control of your life and your destiny and all sorts of things. In Epictetus, the Greco-Roman soul has lost its paganism, and is ready for a new faith. His book had the distinction of being adopted as a religious manual by the early Christian church. From these dissertations and quote-unquote dissertations and Aurelius' meditations, there is but a step to the imitation of Christ. Okay, I see. The wit and mind of man, as Bacon put it, if it work upon a matter, worketh according to the stuff and is limited thereby. But if it work upon itself, as the spider worketh his web, then it is endless and bringeth worth indeed. What? And bringeth worth indeed cobwebs of learning admirable for the finesses or something of thread and work, but of no substance or profit. If I understand it correctly, then if you maybe just going into that direction, if you just always do the exact same thing all this fucking time, or if you're just, well, first of all, this one, but second of all, I feel also about it like, if it is always the exact same thing, and you're also kind of just, quote unquote, overwhelming yourself with work, and also that you're giving yourself like the availability and the possibility that you can work on something endlessly, that this is not going to lead to quite a lot of things, but it's going to lead to just basically nothing, but of no substance or profit, as they say. So this is what I feel about it, and it kind of reminds me actually on the podcast. I've been doing it for quite some while. I'm not doing it just the exact same way all the time, but it is basically the same thing. The past few days I've actually been really enjoying it, like genuinely enjoying it, which has not always been the case, because I don't know, like it really depends on the book, it really depends on what I'm talking about, it really depends on so many different variables, I think. But yeah, I mean, totally the case. There is a need for balance, and there is definitely a need for just growing as a person as well, I think. As knowledge grew, fear decreased. Man thought less of worshipping the unknown and more of overcoming. And I think this is definitely the case, and I think it is still the case up to this point of time, because if you know that it is dark because there's no photons in just the air or something, I don't really know the facts there, and then you might be like, there's nothing actually to fear about that, there's nothing to fear about the dark, because it's just absence of some molecule or whatever it is, or atom. So why should I be fearing that? And this is, I think, the exact same thing, like, something is the case, and because of this knowledge, you don't fear something that much or at all. Some books are to be tasted, reads a famous passage, others to be swallowed, and some to be chewed and digested. Yes, indeed. And some have to be just kind of thrown away and burned. Bacon offers some preliminary hints on how to rise in the world, but rather at times to dart out some sparks of a free and generous mind that have no less of the sting than the honey. What? But rather at times to dart out some sparks of a free and generous mind that have no less of the sting than the honey. I don't really get it. Anyway, philosophy directs us first to seek the goods of the mind, and then the rest will either be supplied or not much wanted. Which I think in general is a pretty good idea. Like, just focus on the good things. Period. What do you need the bad things for? An idol, as Bacon uses the word, reflecting perhaps the Protestant rejection of image worship, is a picture taken for a reality, a thought mistaken for a thing. Yeah, I know where he's going for, because an idol, a person that you think is idealistic, because idle, I think, I assume that is coming from that word, or that it is the same word, but just, transformed, quote unquote, that this person is not idealistic. This person is not ideal. It's not an ideal. So, yeah, but we think this person is because it's our idol, quite. So maybe this is where he's heading towards. Could be the case, just some thoughts. All the perceptions, both of the senses and the mind, bear reference to man and not to the universe. And the human mind resembles those uneven mirrors which impart their own properties to different objects and distort and disfigure them. The man understanding from its peculiar nature easily supposes a greater degree of order and regularity in things than it really finds. Hence the fiction that all celestial bodies move in perfect circles. The human understanding from its peculiar nature easily supposes a greater degree of order and regularity in things than it really finds. Yeah, yes, indeed, and also like meanings and all sorts of shit, which is not there, but we are just imposing it into or onto those objects. We're just basically making up stories out of nowhere and all sorts of things. Like, it is very, very interesting what we actually are doing as people. Some really also sometimes quite fucked up things. Yeah. Although most cogent and abundant instances may exist to the contrary, yet either does not observe or despises them, or it gets rid of and rejects them by some distinction with violent and injurious prejudice, rather than sacrifice the authority of its first conclusions. All superstition is much the same, whether it be that of astrology, dreams, omens, retributive judgment, it's probably not pronounced in that way, I'm sorry, or the like, in all of which the deluded believers observe events which are fulfilled but neglect and pass over their failure, though it be much more common. Is it about just being overly optimistic? And by the way, actually, why can't I? Well, it's hopefully gonna change, because I can't switch between the camera modes, In general, let every student of nature take this as a rule, that whether his mind sizes and dwells upon with peculiar satisfaction is to be held in suspicion, and that so much the more care is to be taken in dealing with such questions to keep the understanding even and clear. The great continent had not sunk after all, but only man's courage to navigate the sea. Did it? Did man's courage to navigate the sea sunk? I don't know, maybe back in the days. At this point in time, I just don't really think about it. On the improvement of the intellect. Or is this another section? It could be, I don't know. But I'm gonna highlight this part. Whether it's good or bad, I don't actually care. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the episode there. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're gonna remind yourself and you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person, and then also being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. Something else to think about and something else to consider is these 3 questions, or are actually: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a pretty cool thing. Another question that I'm having for you is, what could you particularly say? But also create and make and do, but what could you particularly say that is really going to change somebody's life? Because I totally believe that it is something that's very easy and we all can do. And so there's no fucking reason why you're not doing it. Top. So yeah, anyway. I'll hopefully see you soon. I wish you the best, and thank you very much for going through this with me. So thank you. And please stay patient, passionate, generous, and kind. And I'm going to see you. Bye-bye.